Hello and welcome back to Cinema Essentials. The episode is titled Odd Man Out, named after the plan to exclude T-Bag from the prison break since there are too many people involved, and everyone agrees he needs to be removed. Odd Man refers to someone who's different from the group, a dangerous, unpredictable cannibal type. If you're ready, let's begin Season 1 Episode 12. I'm your host Theo. In the underground pipes, after retrieving the hidden jumpsuit, Michael follows the pipe rod until he reaches a spot where he removes a bolt from the jumpsuit and drops it through an opening, listening to the sound. Satisfied, he drops the jumpsuit and slides down. At the bottom, he uses the garbage bag and rope inside the jumpsuit to block the sewage outlet. T-Bag, who never makes phone calls, is strangely on the phone today, which catches Abruzzi's attention. He's keeping a close eye on him. Lincoln and Michael walk to work at PI, discussing how the sewage pipe is about 20 feet high. They need to find a way to climb up without a ladder, which means they'll have to leave PI tomorrow morning to make it work. Once they're through, they can access the infirmary through the underground pipes. D.B. Cooper will have to wait behind. Lincoln mentions there are too many people. 18 minutes for 7 people to get over the wall isn't enough time. As they approach the guard station, C-Note asks if they can discuss what they're planning with others. C-Note says he's been digging, but has no guarantee he'll be included in the escape. Sucre says if he can't go, then he won't dig either. While everyone's arguing in the room, Abruzzi mentions there's one person they all agree on. Just then, T-Bag opens the door and enters, saying he has something to tell them before they start work. He can sense there's betrayal in the air, and he feels the group is slowly turning against him. To ensure his safety, he's told a friend outside about their escape plans. If he doesn't make contact within 20 minutes of the prison break, his friend will call the warden and reveal everything. So if they're planning to exclude him, they better change their plans, T-Bag says, taking control of the situation. On the way back from PI work, everyone has their own thoughts. Walking along, C-Note tells Sucre they'll be the only two left behind, 2 guys with chocolate-colored skin. Michael came here with one purpose: to save Lincoln Burrows. All he needs is the old man's money and the mob boss's plane. Everyone else is just backup workers, he says. But Sucre responds that he's done a lot for them and trusts Michael. C-Note asks how much Michael has told him. If he's told you everything, then Michael isn't needed anymore. Just you and me could leave through that hole. If you don't believe me, just watch and see, he says before walking away, leaving Sucre confused. Looking at the large water pipe, wondering what to do, Tweener approaches asking if he'll get a job at PI. Michael says he didn't promise anything, just said he'd consider it, maybe he can help somehow, and walking away. To save Nick Savarin as quickly as possible, Veronica and others rush to the hospital. Nick tells them not to. If they see the bullet, they'll call the police. First find the bullet and pull it out by hand, he says. So Veronica pulls out the bullet tip by hand. Every time he comes to the infirmary, Michael pours a little medical solution, so the air vent is corroding. Waiting for someone to leave, he uses a ruler to poke through until it breaks open, then drops a small bird figure through. Belek arrives saying, "Oh, you're here. You weren't in your cell, couldn't find you anywhere else, couldn't find your credit card either." Nika tells everything to me. Is calling her bitch going too far? What would you call someone who marries a criminal to get residency in America? While talking, Sarah arrives and tells Belek if he has inspections to do them in the office. She has medical duties to attend to, and sends Belek away. While giving the injection, Michael mentions he married Nika to help her get residency. But Sarah says she saw him at the conjugal visit facility the other day. Michael explains it wasn't about sex. It was work-related. The upset Sarah says no explanation is needed, but Michael insists he wants to explain. Don't trust handsome guys to be faithful, aunties and ladies. Re-entering the block, T-Bag asks the old man why he wants to escape. The outside world has changed with computers and phones. It won't suit you. D.B. Cooper responds that T-Bag isn't included, and if he wants to try something, go ahead, pushing him away. Sitting in his cell, thinking about how to handle T-Bag, Abruzzi sees a prisoner pass by and throw a piece of paper into his cell. Walking in the yard, the paper contains the name and address of the person T-Bag called. Abruzzi passes this to Lincoln through the fence. Don't worry about T-Bag. My people will keep the person he called in custody elsewhere until this is over, Abruzzi tells him. Abruzzi's men arrive at Jimmy's house in a van, saying they're making a delivery, then kidnap him. While Veronica and the doctor discuss Nick Saverin going into surgery, LJ sits in the hospital reading a newspaper and sees news about his mother's funeral, so he quietly leaves. When Veronica turns around after talking to the doctor, LJ is gone. Going to the funeral, Paul Kellerman orders his subordinate to follow LJ, telling him to keep constant watch and make sure all three of them are found. Abruzzi's friend calls with bad news about the situation. It's not good the person they captured didn't go quietly and pulled a gun to resist. Since they were using the child as a human shield, there was a shootout and the child died too. Hearing that an innocent child died, even though he's a mafia boss, Abruzzi feels terrible. Sucre's girlfriend comes for a prison visit, saying she's suffering because of him being locked up. When she says she's pregnant, Sucre is overjoyed. Even in prison, Sucre manages to get someone pregnant. He's quite something. Hector is asking for marriage permission too. His mother says the greatest suffering in this world is giving birth to children, and worse is having to do it alone. Sucre tells Maricruz not to listen to what others say. My love, he's coming out earlier than previously planned, Sucre tells her. Sneaking to see his mother's funeral, LJ cries while placing his hand on the small coffin. Kellerman's subordinate watches from the car, wondering if they're doing the wrong thing. Seeing Michael preparing to enter the hole, Sucre asks where he's going. Michael says it'll take about 10 minutes. It's complicated and can't be explained yet. Sucre says he wants to follow and know what's happening. He's always stuck waiting in the cell. Michael tells him he's the lookout if he doesn't watch. Who will? He'll be back in 10 minutes, Michael says before leaving. Staring at a bloody spot on the wall without blinking, Abruzzi is asked by his cellmate about tomorrow's plans and where they'll meet. Abruzzi says he doesn't care. Decide whatever you want, continuing to stare at the wall. Following the underground pipes to the water pipe valve, Michael puts all his strength into opening it, looks up, and smiles. Walking in a church, looking at a child's corpse in the coffin, suddenly the child opens its eyes and looks at him. Abruzzi wakes from the nightmare, stares at a spot on the wall, and prays to God for forgiveness. Delivering postcards, C-Note ordered. The kitchen worker asks what they're for. These were hard to find. C-Note tells him it's none of his business and walks away. The warden comes to T-Bag's cell, saying he's sorry to keep him waiting, but it wasn't intentional. When T-Bag asks what's wrong, the warden reluctantly tells him, "Your half-brother Jimmy was shot and killed yesterday. The child died too." The warden leaves, and T-Bag is devastated. Only when someone mercilessly kills others, and then has their own family member killed, do they understand the pain. Father McKinley visits the emotionally damaged Abruzzi and counsels him. Abruzzi reflects on the crimes he's committed. The priest says John, it's never too late, and recites Revelation chapter 3, verse 20. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I will come in. After reciting scripture, he gives him a small crucifix on a string. Sucre and C-Note walk in cell block A, with Sucre sharing what he knows about Michael going to the isolation block through the sewage drain last night. Bellick and Geary walk together talking when they see Tweener. That's the one who stole the watch from my wrist. It took me half an hour to notice, Geary says. Bellick asks who the real owner of the watch is. If it was stolen, he won't press charges. Geary says it was stolen from Michael's property bag. While trimming plants during PI work, Michael assesses the guards' positions. DB Cooper says he'll warn if guards come. Michael opens the large water valve and waits for it to fill with water. In his cell, while reciting prayers, Abruzzi decides to finish one task once and for all. He inserts a blade into his watch band and hides it under his shirt. Just then, Abruzzi's men come to take T-Bag from his work detail to his cell. Sucre, suspicious from C-Note's words, asks Michael exactly when they're escaping, but Michael asks why the sudden interest. Don't want to know dangerous information. The less you know, the safer you are. They'll meet at PI, Michael says. The guard tells Tweener that stealing a watch is serious. He could go to the solitary confinement. Don't lie to me, I already know the truth. So go to Michael's group and report back what they're saying and doing. There's still a hamburger left. Eat the hamburger and be an informant, or go to the solitary confinement for watch theft, the guard threatens. Tweener, hungry for good food after a long time, takes the hamburger and starts eating eagerly. It's 3 a.m. writing this script while watching I'm Getting Hungry Too. Let me cook some noodles. Kellerman's subordinate Hale is still at home when his wife asks if he's not going to work. Honey, I've been thinking. When we got married, we planned to live in the Western District. I'm tired of working on the streets all day. I want to live peacefully with my family, he says. His wife responds positively, saying it's good for the children too. They can spend more time together. While Sucre, Lincoln, C-Note, and D.B. Cooper are digging in cell, Michael descends into the water-filled sewage tank, swims through the water, climbs up, and enters the infirmary's supply room through the hole. Once on top, he pulls the rope and removes the cloth blocking the water outlet. At the hospital, while Veronica and LJ are caring for Nick Savarin, a phone call comes in. When asked who's calling, the voice says, "Don't ask who I am, I have news you'll be interested in. News that can prove Lincoln Burrows is innocent. Can't talk on the phone, come to Highland Coffee Shop in the Canadian District tomorrow at 8 p.m. I'll tell you everything you want to know." Abruzzi's men are giving T-Bag a beating when Abruzzi arrives and sends everyone else out. Holding a blade to T-Bag's neck, he says T-Bag must pay for everything he's done. T-Bag asks if he's going to kill Jimmy and the child too. They had nothing to do with this. Abruzzi asks if he'll abandon the prison break or choose to die. T-Bag says he can't live in the outside world. Because of his bad behavior, he promises not to escape. As Abruzzi pushes him back onto the bunk, the cunning T-Bag pulls out a razor blade hidden in his mouth and slashes Abruzzi's throat. While digging, Lincoln warns that guard is coming. Everyone prepares to cover the hole, but Michael hasn't returned yet. D.B. Cooper tells them to stall for time. When the guard arrives wanting to search the cell, Lincoln has no choice but to grab and attack the guard. Coming up through the hole, Michael announces they're escaping tonight. Looking around the cell and not seeing Lincoln, he asks where his brother is. D.B. Cooper says they have a big problem now, and episode 12 ends. Just when they're ready to escape, his brother is in trouble. T-Bag's attack leaves Abruzzi's fate unknown. Tweener becomes Bellick's informant. What will happen next in episode 13? Let's wait and see. This series will continue daily until the end, so please like and subscribe to the Cinema Essentials channel. Thank you everyone for watching until the end.